Hello class and welcome to Applied Spreadsheets, Week 5, Lab Work 1 Assignment Walkthrough. The first thing you'll do is click on Lab Work 1 link, and in our e-textbook we'll be completing the assignment for analyzing education savings. We're looking at page EX 266 through 268. As always, you'll want to launch your e-textbook from the left-hand course menu map. When you launch your e-textbook, we'll navigate here to EX 266. As we scroll down this page, we will see the very bottom of the page starts with analyzing the education savings. You'll want to read through the problem so that you understand what the assignment objective is. Looking at page EX 267, there's a thumbnail of the completed assignment. Do not copy the data from the assignment thumbnail. This is just to give you an example so you have a rough idea of what the final assignment looks like. As we look at the instructions, we'll start with number 1. We want to run Excel, we're going to apply a theme, and we're going to make many adjustments to our column widths and to some row heights. So let's get started by opening up Excel. In order to change the theme, you'll go to the Page Layout tab, and on the far left in the Themes panel, there is a drop-down arrow under Themes. We're looking for the Parallax theme. Now note, your version of Microsoft Excel may not have this particular theme. In particular, we're looking for lavenders, blues, and pinks. You want to change your theme. Do not leave it on the default Office theme. As you do randomly look to pick a theme, if you do not have Parallax, look for themes that sort of have that blue, pink, and lavender look to it. So look for the Parallax theme. If you don't have it, change the theme to the closest option you can find that seems to have shades of blue, pinks, and lavenders. We'll come back to some of those adjustments. In our assignment, as noted, we're going to change some of the column widths. So the first column width to adjust is column A. You can click anywhere in column A. And on the Home tab, in the Cells panel, we'll select on the drop-down for Format, and that's where we'll find the column width. And here we want to change that to 6.5. The next column we need to adjust is column F. I can select anywhere in column F. Again, the Cells panel, Format drop-down, column width is 6.5. I have some more columns to adjust, and that would be column B. Select anywhere in column B, and for the formatting, column width, that would be 0.77. You'll see how small that column width gets. I need to do the same with column B, and again for formatting, the column width is 0.77, and last, and certainly not least, is select column I, and again that will be a column width of 0.77. We now need to adjust column C width. Select anywhere in column C. In the Cells panel, Format drop-down, column width this time will be 20.13. And column C has now increased. Now we want to look at columns D, G, and H. So I'll select anywhere in column D. And for column width, this will be 12.63. And the next one is G and H. Now I can select G and H together for formatting. The column width, again, is 12.63. Now last I need to just change some row heights. I need to change the row heights of 2, 4, and 25. Select anywhere in row 2. And for row 2, my row height will be 8.25. And for row 4, select anywhere in row 4, format, row height, and again is going to be 8.25. And certainly the last one, anywhere in row 25, we'll format that row height, again, 8.25. Now we have our formatting of the columns and the couple of rows that we adjusted. We need to look at column C, row 3. And that's where we're going to enter in Education Savings Calculator. Now once we enter that in, when we look on our Home tab in the Alignment panel, we have Merge and Center. You can click on the pull-down arrow and find Merge and Center. So before I am able to do that, I need to actually select, per the textbook directions, I'm looking to center or merge column C through column H. So I'll select column C all the way through column H. And that's where now I'll do the merge and center. Now here's where you want to follow along with me because we're going to make a few color changes. So on the color changes, we're going to change the title. So we're going to have a cell style of title. And when we change the cell style in the Styles panel, Cell Style, and we select Title, we do need to make some adjustments to color. So as we look at the color, we want to change the background color of C3 to a blue accent 1 lighter 40%. You're going to want to look in Excel in your cell style to blue accent 1 40%. Now as we look at the next thing, we see that that has changed my cell title. So when I look, I see my cell title is now no longer what it was. You see how it was before, and then when I changed that, what happened? So what we need to do is when we are changing that to this title style, in my cells style, on the title formatting, I need to actually right click, and then I will select Modify. So when I modify, I'm looking to change the fill and the font. I'm going to select Format here. So the first one is I have all of these different tabs. The first one I'm going to look at Fill, and here is where I'm looking at that blue accent 1 lighter 40%. So you'll want to select that as my fill. Now when I look at my next step in my direction, I want to change my font color. So I want font, and I need that to be a pink color. Again, you may not have pink accent 5 if you didn't have the Parallax theme, so you need to locate and find a pink color, which you may need to go to more colors and actually look for a pink color. Select OK and OK again, and that has performed the changes for me. Now looking at the next step of number 3, I need to enter in row titles in column C. So I'm going to start at C5, and I'm looking at the figure in my TE textbook of 469, and that lets me know what these columns are. So starting in C5, I need to start with employee name, annual salary, percent invested, annual return, years, monthly contributions, and the next one, last one, will be future value. And as far as my data, that's going to go here in column D. That's in our E textbook. That data is shown here in this table. So I have Judith Silva, 73,500, 5%, 4.5%, and 18 years. So here I will start with the name, Judith Silva. An annual salary, I'll start with my $, 73,500. I have 5%. I have 4.50%, and I'm just getting this from my e-textbook in that table, and 18 years. The textbook does not have any data for monthly contributions or future value because you need to enter the function in these two rows and columns. So D10 and D11 need to have a function. So let's look at the next step. And we're going to look at step 4 to actually use the Create from Selection button. That's located in the Formulas tab. Well, let's outline that. I'm going to now select this information that I just typed in here. And in my Formulas tab, I'm going to select in the Defined Names panel, Create from Selection. I want to make sure I have ticked on top row and left column. I'll say OK. What did that do? In my Defined Names panel, if I look at my Name Manager, it applied all of the names. Let me show you. When I look at 73,500, in my name box, I see that that's now annual salary. So I don't have to refer to this as D6, but instead I can refer to it as the name that's here in my name box. As I look now at the next step, it is entering in the function. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this function here from my e-textbook. So I'm going to temporarily copy this if I can. And in my Excel worksheet, somewhere down yonder, let's see if I can paste that in. I don't think I copied that properly. And bear with me here for just a moment. I'm going to refresh that page. And we're going to go back and I'm going to see if I can copy now where I have my copy window. I don't think it's letting me copy because my video is running. So I'll just bypass that temporarily. And I'll just minimize my worksheet. And now for my direction, I am looking at this formula here, this if statement. So when I look at this if statement, I'm really just following this pattern here. So I start with if percent invested. So let's try to follow along here. And let's see if now I can copy. Just not letting me copy. All right. So in cell D10, I'm starting with this if statement. If percent invested. Okay. So if percent invested equals if. And now after the if, I see that I have an open parenthesis and I'm looking at percent invested. Open parenthesis, and I'm looking here at percent invested. So I select it, column D, row 7. You can see that used the name box there. After that, I'm looking to multiply it by the annual salary. So an asterisk by the annual salary, I'll select, and here I selected D6. You can see the function puts in the name box, annual salary. And after that, following in my textbook, greater than 13,000. Now here is something that is a note to self. Don't put in the comma for the 13,000 or you'll return a function error. Now I have a comma after it as my separator, and I'm looking at percent invested. Again, I'm just following the formula here in the e-textbook. Multiplied by the annual salary, so an asterisk, again I'll select annual salary, divided by, there's 12 months in a year, a separator, comma, and now I'm entering 13,000 with no commas in the number 13,000. And ending that with divided by 12 and a closed parenthesis. On my function, I will here enter that, and my value is returned with my actual formula in the bar. Now I can follow the same pattern for 4B. for future value. Future value is explained on the next page. We'll get to that in just a moment. So here's the pattern that I'm following for my function for cell D11. D11, I start my function with an equal sign, negative FV, open parenthesis, and following that is the annual return. I'll select annual return, which is cell D8, divided by 12 for 12 months, comma as a separator. I'm selecting years, which is D9. I'm multiplying that by 12 months in a year, a comma as my separator, and I need monthly contribution. I'll select monthly contribution and parentheses. I can enter this formula. Excuse me. So we've just completed step 4A and B, and now we can look at the next page, and that's where you can read about the future value function and how it returns to the cell the future value of the investment. So read a little bit about the use of the future value function. Now, if necessary, you could use the format painter to format the currency style for cells in cell D6. So in D10, I need to make sure on my Home tab that this is my number panel here, that I do set it as currency. And the same here in cell D11. But here I see that's already formatted as currency. So double check that you have the cell formatting here for cells D10 and D11. And now we're looking at adding a background color, blue accent 1, lighter 40%, and the font color pink to those cells in C5 through C11. So C5 through C11. Here's where now, again, if you don't have that theme, you're going to have to do a little bit of adjustment, but I'm going to be on my home panel and in my cells formatting, my cells style. Here's where I will apply, I can apply my blue accent, what was it, blue accent 1 lighter 40%, blue accent 1 40%, and the same for my font. So on this, I can right click, modify, and for my font is what I'm going to adjust. So I'll select format. On the font tab for font color, here's where I'm selecting that pink. If you don't have this theme to have that, you're going to need to select a pink. And now I can say OK and OK again. And that's formatted for me. Now as we continue along, we are going to need to add a border, and you can do some of this formatting. I don't need to walk through every step, but you essentially want to apply an outside border in C5, D11. C5 all the way through D11, this range. And again, on my Home tab, I am able to look to, oops, that's merge. I am able to apply here in my font panel, and I'm looking for an outside border. And now I have a border around my table information. I'm going to line up the name Judith here to the right while I'm at it. All right, so now we've completed that step. Now, again, it's a little bit of some formatting here where we're going to use concepts that you read here in Chapter 4 to apply to the data table. So we're looking at the range of F5 through H24. F5 through H24. So here's the range that I'm looking at. And so in this range that we're looking at, we need to format the table columns and titles and all that good stuff. Well, that's here in our e-textbook, and we know the first one is years by looking at that example. Future value, and again, you can do some of the formatting. I'm just showing you the overall gist here. You're going to need to make sure you've read through Chapter 4 and you go through all of these concepts. And here's where I can apply wrap text. If I expand here my window, you'll see wrap text, and I'll be able to apply that as needed. So as we go through, we apply that, and we're going to do the same thing about applying the blue background with the pink font, and you're going to be doing that as well. So you'll apply that. So go through that formatting. Again, it's just repeating what we've already done. Now we're going to start using the fill handle. I'm looking at step B here. So for years, I'll actually start here in cell C7, and I'll type in 1. And in cell C8, I'll type in 2. So instead of having to go through all of those, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select cell F, did I say C earlier? Cell F7 and F8. In the bottom right-hand corner, I'll look for a plus sign that's solid color, as you see now. Now it's a four-way arrow. Now I have a solid plus sign. And I'm going to drag straight down, and I know I need to go down to row 25. I think it was row 25. So there I have, it's actually row 24, I'm sorry. I have 1 through 18 now put in. Excel will automatically put the numbers in for me in order, and it will follow that pattern. Once I've completed that, I now need to look at step number 6, and I'm looking at cell G6, and here's my function, equals D11. So I need to go to G6. My function is simply equals D11. And I'll enter that. And that carries that over for me. In cells H6, here's my function right here. So H6, all I'm simply doing is following the function in the book. And so as we put ourselves back over here, I am looking at equals 12, months in the year, equals 12. And then I'm multiplying that, I believe, times D10, times D10, and multiplying that monthly contribution by D9, which is the years, D9. And that's all I'm looking to do, and select enter. And my formula is there, my data is entered in. Now, as I look at the next step, I'm looking at step 6D. Use the data table command to define the range from F6 to H24. And I'm using D9 as the column input cell. So I'm looking at F6 all the way down here. And for here, I need to go to my Data tab, in the Datas tool, to the What If analysis, to the data table. Now the input cell was given to us here as D9. So my input cell, my column input cell was D9. Make sure that you note in the book it's looking at the column input cell as D9. So once I put in the column input cell of D9, I can select OK. My values are put in for me. Again, I'm going to continue on, and once I've completed that, I need to make sure that I have my currency, cell formatting. So on these, you'll have cell currency with a comma style. And again, you're just going to do some of the simple basic formatting that we've talked about previously. So we have the comma style format. You want to make sure that you apply the comma style format, and that you're also going to be adding in the background color. And so our background color will